And let me tell you, Governor, I am very proud, I said to you privately, of the way you, in dignity and grace, honored your father. And you touched the heart of New York. You didn't just honor your father, but you touched our hearts. You spoke to our needs. You made us feel good about this state. You gave us a clear direction. And we see all over the news now the various things, the initiatives that you are taking to try to make this. We're blessed to have you. We're honored that you chose to come to Grace this morning for this occasion. And I want you to know you have friends always here at Grace. God bless you. Will you come to the pulpit this morning? The Governor of New York. Let us stand and receive him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you. First, to Reverend Franklin Richardson, it's an honor to be back, and I thank him very much for having me back. To my colleagues from Albany, we have Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson, who's here with us today. We have Assemblyman Gary Pretlow. It's a pleasure to be with him. We have Charlie King, who's been my good friend and advisor for many years. And then we have a gentleman who I'm going to bring up because I'd like you to say hello in a few minutes, Reverend Karim Kamara. To the Reverend, to the deacons, to the trustees, to the staff that runs this magnificent institution, it's a pleasure to be with all of you. I thank the Reverend for his kind words about my father. We had chatted briefly upstairs, and at least I know my father has got a lot of good company where he is now, and he's joined by the Reverend's mother, and I'm sure they have a lot to talk about what they should have done with their sons as they look down upon us. Last time I was here was November 2nd. It was a big day for me, 2 days before my election day. So I was concerned, it was serious. And I came and I saw the Reverend, and we were chatting. And I was talking about my race and support for my election 2 days away. And the Reverend gave me that look. He gave me that look right in the eyes. You know, he gives that serious look. He comes up close. He said, well, you know, I try to stay away from politics, Governor. And I gave him my eternal truth stare right in his eyes. I said, you try to stay away? And he said, well, once in a while I dabble in politics. I said, well, maybe you could help dabble a little bit now for me, Reverend. And he turned it on me immediately, and he said, well, Governor, my suggestion is you pray for help. And then he said, with his eternal truth stare right in the eye, Governor, don't you believe in the power of prayer? And I felt like God was listening to this next answer. And if I blew this next answer, I was in trouble. And it reminded me of the story of the fellow who fell off the cliff. You know the story of the fellow who fell off the cliff? The fellow falls off a cliff. He's falling, he's falling, he's falling. There's one branch sticking out of the cliff. Miraculously, the guy grabs onto this one branch sticking out of the cliff, and he looks down. There's 300 feet down to the floor, and he's holding onto the branch with his two hands, and he looks up to the heavens and says, dear Lord, is there anyone up there who can help me? There's a loud, booming voice, and the clouds part. And the voice says, yes, my son, there is someone here who can help you. He said, oh, thank God, there's someone here who can help me. Please, I can't hold on much longer. And the voice says, first, son, one question. do you have faith? He says, oh, yes, I have a deep and abiding faith. And the voice says, if you have faith, release your hands from the limb. He says, is there anybody else up there who can help me? So, Reverend says to me, I should pray. Is there anybody else up there who can help me? And I said, well, Reverend, I believe in the power of prayer, but something tells me I'd feel better if you did the praying on my behalf. I think your voice gets heard better. And that's when the Reverend came up with a prayer, I believe, inspired by Solomon, and came here and said, let the county executive remain county executive, and let the governor remain governor. And that's the way it was. It is a story of the power of prayer. And it was heard. And I am the governor. And give the Reverend a round of applause for the way he dabbled in that politics. We are now starting our second term. And I am blessed and fortunate to be able to have a second term as governor, another opportunity to do good. And we want to take our achievement to a new level. We had a great 4 years. Over the past 4 years, we did a lot of good. We got the government working again. We have the finances stabilized. We brought down taxes all across the board. We have jobs coming back to New York, especially in places that were long left behind, upstate New York, that suffered for a long time. We have 500,000 new jobs. We have 7.6 million jobs in this state today, more jobs than have ever existed in the state of New York exist today. So we did a lot of good work. We did a lot over the past 4, but the truth is there's a lot more to do. Because with all the good work we've done, there are many New Yorkers who are not yet included in that vision for a better, stronger, prosperous New York. And we have people in New York who have been on the bottom of the ladder for many, many years. We still have a problem with poverty in this state. You have parts of this state where you have a poverty rate of 30%. And that's basically young children who are in the poverty rate. We have a terrible unemployment problem with our youth, especially in the inner cities, especially minority youth who can't get jobs. And when they can't get jobs, then they're hanging around the neighborhood and they're getting themselves into trouble. So we have a lot more work to do. We have failing public schools in the poorer communities across New York, which are the place that we can least afford them. So we want to take our level of achievement to a new level. And housing programs, community development programs, youth development programs, youth employment programs, youth training programs, and we want to invest money in those areas. There's an old saying, the time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. Well, the sun is shining now in New York. We have some excess revenue. We had a deficit for a lot of years, but now we actually have a stable economy and we have some funds that we can invest, and I want to invest in our young people and invest in our communities that were left behind. And one of the ways to invest in communities is you look for the stable institution to build on. When Jesus was going to build this church, he said, I'm going to build it on Simon Peter, on the rock. You look for the rock in the community to build on. Very often, the rock is the church, is the temple, is the mosque, is the faith-based institution in that community. You look at a community, you see alcohol sales, you see pawnbrokers, check cashers, and the church, and build on the church. And we want to invest in building on the capacity of the church. Now, Grace Church has that capacity, has that sophistication. You're building housing, you have employment program, you have youth programs. When the Reverend gets up to talk about one of his building projects, he sounds like an investment banker on steroids, doesn't he? I got the investment rate down low. I want to sell convertible bonds, invest the bonds overnight, make some commodity sales. He doesn't need any capacity building. He is a teacher, not a student, when it comes to this. But there are many religious organizations, many not-for-profits that want to help but don't have the capacity to help. Just don't know how to do it, and they don't have the funds. And we want to put together a program this year that does just that. We're going to make $50 million available to not-for-profits to develop capacity so they can become engines in their community to do good work, so they can be building housing, etc. And one day from Martin Luther King's, Dr. King's celebration, he used to talk about New York as a superhighway of justice. I really believe this state, if we do what we have to do, we can be an example to the rest of the nation of what true success is. Because true success is not a small number of people do very well. True success is everyone is doing well, and we're raising the people at the bottom up. I'm very excited about this, and we have a young man who I believe is going to be a tremendous engine of revitalization all across the state. He is perfect to go to the churches, to talk to them, to make the linkages, to develop capacity. And this is going to be an entirely new front in this war. It's never been done before. And it's about time we did it, and it's about time we did it in New York. So I'd like you to give a big welcome to a current assemblyman who is going to be leaving the assembly to take a job with me in the administration. He also happens to be a reverend and a pastor of a church. So he brings it all. He knows how government works, and he knows how the churches work, and he is perfect to go around the state, develop this network, build this capacity, and really make a difference in communities that have been left behind for too long. Please give a welcome to Reverend Karim Kamara. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Let the church say amen. I hope you all don't mind if I just very quickly give my testimony, and I know my testimony is very similar to you all's testimony. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know where I would be. I gotta say it one more time. If it had not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know where I would be. I give praise and honor to God on this morning. What a great pleasure and honor it is to be here with you all. To the shepherd of this house, the Reverend Dr. Franklin Richardson, we thank you for your hospitality. I thank you for being a friend and a mentor to me as a pastor. And now, guess what? I'm going to be calling on you even more now in this new capacity. I thank the governor for the warm introduction, and I thank him for this opportunity to serve. I'll still be in public service. It'll be different, but I'll have an opportunity to do real work on the ground. I thank you for this privilege and this honor to serve with you. And my colleagues that are here that were mentioned already, what a great pleasure and honor it is to see you all. You know, I thought, and I'll be very quick, but I thought about Nehemiah. And if you remember, Nehemiah was in a place of comfort. He was in the king's house, but his heart anguished for the people that survived the exile in Jerusalem because the walls had fallen down, and there was a fire, and they were in disgrace. And Nehemiah said, even though I'm in a place of comfort, I've got to do everything in my power about my people. And I know I'm preaching to the choir because I know no one gets this more than this church and Dr. Franklin Richardson, that we as a church, we know that we're called, and we're not called just to individual piety, but we're also called to civic duty. And in this office, there's an opportunity through the leadership of Governor Cuomo. And there's no doubt that an office like this is needed today and that it will fulfill a vital role in the way our government serves its people and their communities. I'm especially excited to begin working to meet the needs of some of the most vulnerable individuals in New York, from education and job training to health and social support services. Faith-based organizations have so much to offer. As we know, faith-based organizations have been the anchor to hold communities together. Many times when people forgot about those communities, there were faith-based organizations that were there, the anchor to hold them together. And that's why we're going to be doing things like helping faith-based groups compete for grant opportunities so they can increase their impact and serve even more families in their area. We're also going to be focused on bringing groups like yourself to the table, to key state agencies, from housing and community renewal to Empire State Development, so that they can build stronger relationships with businesses and other nonprofit groups across the state. This new office is a reminder of how the governor is fully committed to creating economic opportunity for all New Yorkers. It's also an example of how focused the governor and his team are on ensuring that we use grassroots, community-based solutions to tackle some of our nation's toughest problems. So once again, thank you for having us here today. I can't wait to get working with churches like yours as the newest member of the Cuomo team. Thank you, Mr. Governor. I look forward to serving with you as we do great work for the people of the great state of New York. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Well, Governor, I want to thank you for choosing Grace to be the place to make such a significant announcement about the future. It's critical that we use the churches to make our state a better place. And the churches have people, and the people can make a difference. And so I'm so thankful for you being here today. I know you have a schedule, and that's why I'm making it easy for you to leave with no embarrassment. I'm making it graceful, you know what I'm saying? Because I want you to come back. I want you always to be welcome and always to be released. We think the well of you.